looking to be trained on different types of coaching styles, not only for working with each other as staff, but also things that we can apply to our students as well. It's been thoroughly enjoyable, and we asked James if he would come and talk to you as well. You have this book, and I thought the tagline on it really does sum up I think what you're going to hear today. It is about, as you know, developing at this school independent, confident, and most important, happy children. And I know that James today has got some tips for doing that as well. So we're delighted to welcome you back very much. Dr. taking the time to speak.
Lovely. Can you all hear me over there at the back? I don't think I've ever been introduced as thoroughly enjoyable. So,
I'm so totally
So look, we're going to talk about coaching. Now, I don't know what you exactly mean by coaching, but rather than sort of have a debate about it, let's just say coaching is asking questions. So the child can find out about herself or about himself. Okay, so it's not telling them what to do, it's asking them what they think they should do. And if you think of in Greek civilization, there's a king called Odysseus. Is that ring a bell? Odysseus, and he had a son called Telemachus. And he said, look, I'm off to war, I'm going to collect some more countries for Greece, I hope. So I'm off for a few months, or maybe a couple of years, or maybe I'm not coming back. So Telemachus, I want you to go and live with my friend Mentoras. And Mentoras, I want you to tell him everything you know. Okay, I'll give my son's education to you. So I thought, well, that's interesting. Well, suppose Odysseus had another friend that I've invented called Kochas. And he says, Kochas, look, I'm off to war. I want you to take care of my son Telemachus. Could you please ask him everything he can think of while I'm gone? So what's the difference, do you think, between Mentoras education and Kochas education? Asking and telling. So basically there's a limit over here to what Mentoras can do, because he only knows this much and he can say, this is what I know, learn it. But what's the limit over here? You say, what do you know? What do you want to know? What would be useful for you? How important would that be? What impact would that have? Okay? And the boy's mind will go anywhere. So really what we're looking at is, how do we as parents step back and say, it doesn't really matter what I know. My job is to keep my child happy, motivated and protected. The rest is up to them. Okay, so I thought we'd have a look at how we can take ourselves more out of the picture and really put the child in the middle. Okay, are you happy with that as a sort of a framework? Now, we'll speak for about, I'll probably do most of the speaking, between now and 9 o'clock. Okay, and I'll try not to shoot over there, maybe under there. And then we can sort of pick up on some questions. So if it's okay, we won't get into too much debate, because there may be some things that are a bit provocative, or you need to just unpick it and so on. I'm really happy to stay around here till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, genuinely, if they have space for us, but I know they need the hall for about 9:30 for games. Okay, so by then we need to be out. Happy with that? So look, what I've got here is, I made this little phrase, children expect us to expect them to excel. Right? They want us to get them to a space where they have to excel. However, if we are in the Mentoras camp, we are going to make them excel. You must excel. You must do extra tuition. You must do extra lessons, music, games, sport, and so on. Okay. Have we ever stopped to ask the child, what do you really want?
What?
And we'll come to that one too, because that's important too. Okay? So if you really want something, you'll do it. If you don't want it so much, you won't do it. But as children, they suck it and see. They don't quite know, where am I going to go with this? What will this bring me? Okay? You buy them a brand new judo suit because they've been to judo for 5 weeks and say they love it. And in 7 weeks they say, I want to take it. Okay? And the suit goes in the cupboard and then they get a clarinet. So you just pick things up, put them down, and you see what gives. So that's what children do, perhaps that's what adults do in different ways. So we need to expect them to excel. They will rise to the challenge, absolutely, they will. Okay? Now, here, I've got sort of 5 chapters to this talk. The first chapter is the children have infinite potential. Okay, the square root of infinite potential. Me times me equals infinite potential. Okay? If you multiply me by myself, there is nothing I cannot do. Now, how about that for a filter? What filters do you sometimes put on your children when things aren't quite going your way or their way? You tend to say, you've got a problem. You are a problem. You're not old enough to be able to do that. Women shouldn't really be doing that. Okay. I'm not sure I like your attitude. So these are all filters that we have, that we put on the children. Okay, they were quite happy doing the exercise or doing the task, but we're not sure if we like it. So we say, look, when you're older, you can do that, but right now, that's not for youngsters like you. Now, for whatever your reasons for saying that child is now learning that big people run the world, small people don't have a voice. Okay, so let's find out how can we give the child a voice. Okay, and the best way to give the child a voice is to ask it what he wants to say. So for example, that question that, what do they want to do? They want to watch telly. How many times have you asked your children recently, what time would you like to go to bed? Okay, so there's a homework for you. What time would you like to go to bed? Okay, and the child's going to say, midnight. Okay, now, a parent says you're not going to bed at midnight, you're 4. You're going to bed at 7. 6, wait. Okay. There's your, now, if the child says midnight, if we need to give it a voice, okay, let's ask it about midnight. Midnight. And next question, what will you be doing till midnight? I'll be watching telly. And what will you be watching? I'll be watching horror films. Horror films. What happens in the horror films? Oh, there's blood and killing and dying. Right now, we're not judging this. Because if we judge it, if we override the child's thinking too often and too regularly, the child learns to shut down around us.
Sorry, James, we can't hear you at the back.
Oh, you can't hear me?
No, sorry.
Ah, okay, I'll shout a bit louder. I don't know if I've got a mic. Can you not hear me at all?
No.
There are a number of seats in the front if you can scoot forward. But I'll do my best to project a little bit.
I'll get you one.
Okay. Right, so we're at midnight and we've got a 5-year-old watching horror films. Okay? So, what will happen tomorrow morning when you don't get enough sleep? I'll be fine. Now what we're doing is underlining what the child says, playing it back, and asking another question about that. We're not in any way judging, criticizing, blaming, stopping, overriding. Just let its imagination go. Okay, you are pretty sure the child belongs to us, and the child is going to fall asleep by 9:30 maximum anyway, at that sort of age. Right? But let the child think what's happening. I want to know where this child's mind can go. So you can follow it through. So if you haven't had much sleep tomorrow morning, how do you get? Well, sometimes I get grumpy, but tomorrow I won't be. Okay? Okay? And what about school? How will you feel when you're at school? I don't think I'll go to school. I don't think you'll go to school. Right now, at some point this plays out, okay? And then you say, listen, it's been fabulous talking to you. You've got an amazing mind. I love your imagination. Loads of appreciation. Okay? We want the child to think very well. The way that you think of what might happen if something else happened. I love your sequential thinking. That's great. Now go and put your pajamas on. Right? Now most children kind of get that they're not going to get to midnight. Okay, but they might say, you've manipulated me, the chances are they won't, okay? And the chances are they know that mummy's, playing. But what they have done is been able to just expand their thinking, because on the first thing, if you said, what time are you going to go to bed tonight? And you said midnight. So, and already they just stopped thinking. They just said, yeah, okay, might have no choice. Thank you. So, does that make it a bit better at back? Did you hear me at the front? So, what we're looking at is how far, see I've got to put my glasses down now because I can't do it. How far can their mind go before they have need of my mind? How far can their mind go? And I've got a slide that says that. It's a lovely quote by Nancy Klein, who's written a couple of superb coaching books. Time to think. So, are you okay on that premise? That if we ask the children, and don't block what comes back again, don't block it, they may not get what they want. Because that's life. We don't always get what we want. But they do learn that they have a voice. That's so important, because later on they say, you never listen to me, you're always telling me what to do, it doesn't matter what I say, etc. You may have started to get that already. Okay? And as a primary school, okay, if you can get past that, and if they know that you will listen to them, and we're going to look at listening, then they'll talk. But I get so many parents who say, my 14-year-old won't talk to me anymore. What do? I say, I haven't got the foggiest idea. Because I don't know you, and I don't know your child, and I don't know how you interact, and I probably wouldn't know what to do with that anyway. But what I probably can guess is that communication hasn't been a strong point because when the child is talking to us, we're busy making food, or tidying up, okay, or thinking about work, or on the laptop. So let's find out what real listening can look like. Without breaking any confidences, as Alison said earlier on, we've been working with the staff doing this sort of thing. How can we work with the children and find out what they really are capable of if we gave them an open book? And one of the staff said, because we did a couple of practices in the evenings with the family, we said, look, go and do some of these exercises with your children. And one of the children said, okay, Mummy, I'll do some coaching with you. But it turned out, because of the quality of the questions she was putting, the child, and then she asked for feedback at the end, the child said, I really felt that you were listening to me. And she said, don't I normally listen to you? I said, well, I don't know really, because I'm always following you around when I'm talking to you, because you're always going around the house. I said, do I really do that? He said, yeah, you do. No, there was no judgment for him. He just was answering the question fairly straightforwardly. Okay, so is that what we're doing? We're just accommodating our life, and the child has to sort of shout at us, and at some point the child will just get fed up of following you around or not being listened to, and the child will say, you don't really get it. And if that happens a few times and it's reinforced, when you get to teenage time maybe, or even younger, then the child doesn't feel heard or listened to. So why should he speak? Okay, and I think if you can manufacture that conversation now, in the early years, in fact from birth, ask good quality, open questions to your children as soon as they're born. What time would you like to go to sleep? What would you like to eat today? How are you feeling? instead of saying, oh, you're feeling funny today, aren't you? You're a happy little soul. By all means do that as well, because it's our opinion, we're allowed to give our opinion, but ask the child. But the child hasn't got any words, hasn't got a palate that can form words or comprehensible sounds just yet. But ask them the questions, because the brain, if anybody's got newborn children, that child is so much more intelligent and alive at 2 weeks old than it was at 1 week old. That brain is just taking on stuff. And 2 months old instead of 1 month old. And 2 years old instead of 1 year old. We just pick up all of that kind of thing. All the time. So if you are giving open, respectful questions to your child now, that becomes the norm for them. And so language for them becomes, in the playground, what would you like to play? Oh, okay, I was thinking we could play this. But okay, we could do that. What will happen if we play your game? Okay, and it will just transfer into open, respectful questions. Now, one of the children may not get his way, but he has a voice. Okay, this is my point. If we cut people's voice, they're disenfranchised, disempowered, disinterested, that's the adult you're going to get. Okay? You may want to replay that back to your own childhoods. Were your parents, were my parents too busy for me? Or not interested enough? Okay? Because we consider it trivial, that little thing that happened in the playground, or the school trip, okay, or the school concert. Look, I've got bigger things to do, like send lots of emails. That's what big people have to do these days. Okay? Now, here we've got various chapters, and I'll sort of skim through them. My filter for every OG that I work with, and indeed, I hope, as far as possible, for every person that I meet, I call it a top cat filter. Top cat filter. You are a totally outstanding person, capable of astonishing things. Why would I want to think otherwise? Why would I want to say, you're not ready for that? I don't think people like you will be able to accomplish that. Because you're too young, too small, too big, too old, male, female. If I put all of my filters onto you, and you'll be surprised how many filters, how many times you say, I'm not sure I like that idea, I don't think so, instead of saying, okay, what would happen if you did that? And you've got an open filter, because you're an amazing person, capable of astonishing things. Now, if you can hold that filter in your mind at every conversation you have with your children, and indeed your wife or husband, you are an amazing person, capable of astonishing things. Okay? You'll see the sort of benefits that that sort of statement can get you. Okay. Now, a friend of mine was a newly qualified teacher some years ago, and she was given a particularly difficult tutor group. It was her first day at school, and the head teacher had said, look, I'm sorry, there's only one tutor group left. They're quite rowdy. So they already painted a picture. They're quite rowdy. If you have any problems with them, just send them to me. And she said, right, first day, I'm going to get to know these kids. I'm going to find out how they tick, and I'm going to make myself a promise that the last resort is send them to the head teacher. I'll find a way to sort them out. So she said, I know what I'll do. I'll get them all to do a presentation. This was, I think, year 8 or 9, sort of 12 years old, 13 years old. I'll get them all to do a presentation on something they're passionate about. And they can present it in any way they want for 5 minutes. The tutor group was 10-15 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon. If we can get through 2 or 3 people a day, we'll have everybody done by Christmas, and they'll all know each other and they'll know what their passions are, and they can share interests and so on. Who would like to do the first presentation? So a couple of people volunteer, and they say, look, on Monday, she says, Monday, you guys will be the first. Okay, you're going to go first, you're going to go second. And they did a couple of presentations Monday, and maybe one on Tuesday. And she realized that nobody was taking anything in. And it wasn't because of the quality of what these children had prepared, if they'd been passionate about it. It was only a 5 minutes for a child to speak for 5 minutes in front of the peers. It can be quite a challenge, and to structure their thinking and so on. And it wasn't going very well. So, she said, excuse me everybody, nobody's really listening. They were all fidgeting, they were all making fun, they were chucking things, they were tweaking the hair of the person in front of them, they were kicking the desk, being generally disruptive because they thought that was quite funny and that was their way of bonding as well. But the presentations were suffering. So she said, look, I'd like to play a game. This game is called Sitting Still and Keeping Quiet. The rules are, if you can sit still and keep quiet for 1 minute, no pulling hair, no kicking the desk, no chucking bits of paper, no making funny noises, then we're going to do 2 minutes. And when you can get to 3 minutes of sitting still and keeping quiet, we're going to resume these presentations. So I'd love to hear what's going on. Do you know how long it took them to get 1 minute of silence in 2 tutor groups a day? 3 weeks. Every time there was some little thing going on, I think I hear a noise, 60 seconds starts again. Oh, was that you making that ugly noise to your neighbour? 60 seconds starts again. Okay, and they said, so after a few days of this, they start self-policing. Okay, they're sitting, several of them are sitting quietly, and several of them are just, they can't, they have to be the clown, and so they start self-policing. Then they start talking in the playground before, right, you do not, because they're desperate now to A, win the game, and B, they want to hear the presentations. 3 weeks it took them. And finally she says, good for you. You sat still, without any fidgeting, any noise, any interruptions, any distractions, for 1 minute. Now, do you remember what we're going to do? We're going to do 2 minutes. And they went, oh, Miss! How long do you suppose it took them to do 2 minutes? 2 minutes. Some of them were bursting with the effort, but okay, because there's so many distractions, and nobody had really ever taught them, how to listen and really reinforced it at 12 or 13 years old. Now, we like the kids to be boisterous and so on. However, we also like them to know how to sit still, keep quiet, and be attentive. So the presentations started, and they were able to continue, and they got them all done before Christmas. So I think when we find that the children have so much going on, how do we manage to quiet them down to a place where they can be rowdy when it's necessary to be rowdy, but they can be meditative, attentive, polite, courteous, and so on? Because a number of my friends in the UK are teachers, and they report that sometimes up to 85% of their time is spent keeping discipline. 85% and 15% is content from the lesson plan. And I imagine that's a much smaller percentage here. Okay, but that's, this is what's going on, especially in some secondary schools, they report. Now, keeping calm, carrying on. Okay, parents have to do this quite a bit, and you have to juggle an awful lot of stuff. So how can we do that? One of the things that I find is that we have this great need to ask a child, why? Why did you do that? Why did you do it like that? Why haven't you done it yet? Okay, why did you pull your sister's hair? Why did you steal his sweets? And there is absolutely, in my experience, there is no point in that question until that child becomes 25 years old. They haven't got a clue why. It was just the right thing to do at the time for whatever mood they were in. So don't waste your breath. A better question is probably, okay, first of all, separate if needed, and then what's going on? Tell me more about this. Okay? Not who did what first, why did you do that, you go over there, you go over there. I'm now telling. I'm now dictating. Okay? And a lot of it is to get the other person into trouble, to score points off each other, to push buttons. So, it's a difficult one, but if we can create a conversation that has no whys in it, you'll be the better for it. Because you won't get to the bottom of anything. A child's brain, in fact, it's certainly a teenager's brain. Has anybody here got teenage kids, secondary school kids? Okay. Their brain is restructuring physically, growing, shrinking, growing, shrinking, growing, shrinking, and with it, it's stretching and cutting a lot of the neural pathways that were hardwired at the same time. So what they did know at 8, 9, 10 years old, when they were polite and organised and thoughtful and considerate, they don't know anymore. That neural pathway is actually broken because the brain grew and then shrunk and snapped it. Plus, they're being filled with loads of chemicals. So when they start thinking, you know what I'll do? I think it would be fun if I walk across this narrow bridge and I might fall in the river, but I might not. If they were 10 years old, they would think, if I do that, consequential thinking, and it's been hardwired, if I do that, I might fall and hurt myself. If I do this, mummy might get mad. When they're a teenager and the brain is doing this stuff, okay, it's not every day, but it's periodic, they kind of go, if I do this, there's nothing to tell them, okay, which is why teenagers take far more risks, do things that are completely antisocial from our point of view. You say, what happened to you? You were such a clever little boy, you were such a considerate, thoughtful boy when you were 10. Okay, you're 15, you should know better. Have you used that phrase? How many times do I have to tell you? I shouldn't have to tell you. And the child goes, I don't know what I was thinking. And that's a real thing. I don't know what I'm thinking. My mind didn't make a connection for me at that point. And when has anybody's child ever been rude to you? I hate you, mummy. You know? And then 2 days later, good chances they'll come back and apologize. I'm so sorry, I don't know why I said that. And that's the truth. They don't know why they said that. They don't hate you. And in that moment, something just happened and said, I think I'm going to shout at mummy. If I shout at mummy, I'll shout at mummy. Okay, and they'll backtrack later on. Now, a great comment, the teenagers actually hate when you say it, but they kind of like it at the same time, is, it's okay, I hear you saying that you hate me, but it's not your fault. And they go, it is my fault, I meant to say it. But 2 days later, okay, they realised they didn't want to say that, and they wouldn't have said it now in this calm period, and so on, but something was just upsetting in the brain. So just be aware, okay, give your teenagers a break. And by teenagers I mean 12 to 25. That's teenage. That's your teenage. That's when your brain is still restructuring. When you're 25, you have less excuses. Okay? So if your child is still giving you that sort of thing, okay, now we've got some other remedial stuff to do. So, try not to say why, and try not to say don't. In fact, try not to say do. At the same time. Do this, do it like that. Don't do that. Told you lots of times, don't do that. My challenge to you would be, if you can get away with not
saying do or don't for a whole day, your child will actually do some pretty good stuff. Okay? If you say, what do you want to do this weekend? Who would you like to meet tonight? When you've done your homework, what should we do together? You might slip the homework bit in. But rather than saying, do your homework now, and we might have a game of Scrabble, okay, just see if you can work out your language that doesn't have the do and the don't. Because essentially, do and don't is giving advice. Okay? We'll look at giving advice. I put provocatively, giving advice is lazy parenting. So we'll have a look at that. We'll look at it later. How are we doing for sort of clarity at the moment? Is this sort of resonating? Okay. So, never ask a child why, never tell a child don't. Here's Nancy's quote. Nancy wrote a really good book called Time to Think. Now it's a coaching book, or it's a business book, but I would say it's also a parent's book. The parents are always complaining they don't have enough time. Nancy's written this book, and what she talks about is creating a listening environment, a thinking environment. And she says, here are some points that you can consider if you want to create a listening environment. Here are some of the ways that you can do that. And one of the ways is just to really consider the space in which you're talking to somebody. So if you want to have a chat with the child while you are peeling potatoes, okay, or while you're hoovering, or while you're looking for your phone charger, the space that you've created there is not conducive to that child really being able to just relax with their thoughts. And one of the big things that you can do is get them to say, look, I'd love to have a chat with you about this. Can you give me 10 minutes while I peel the potatoes? Then it's in the oven. Then I'll sit down with you. And we've got 10 or 15 minutes. Is that okay? So you do a little contract. Okay, let's create a thinking space, first of all, so that we can then be able to... And then you sit and you ask questions. So, what's on your mind? What's been happening today? Where are you in your thinking? What would you like to happen? Remember, you may not give them permission in the end, but you're hearing at least what would be good for them. And then you can have a rational conversation. And instead of saying, oh, big people run the world, there's no point in thinking, they're thinking, oh, big people really listen to little people. I don't always get what I want, but Daddy has a reason for saying why he doesn't want it. And it doesn't seem to be a mean reason or just an ill-considered reason or he's grumpy. It's, we talked it through. Easy to say, I know, but it needs practice. Because we forget sometimes, we tend to say, I'm a parent, my mind is better than yours. Okay? I know more than you. Try not to give that impression to the child. Try and say, look, I'm a parent. I've got different things happening. What do you know? You've got a fabulous mind. You're an incredible young man, capable of astonishing things. I'd love to know what's in your mind. So this, how far can your mind go? I've got to create a space where I can really accommodate that. Because otherwise, I'm never going to know and I'm not really listening and I can't remember what he said. And when he says, but I told you about that yesterday, he said, did you? And then we got, this break in communication. Here. When was the last time you said, you've been a really naughty boy. I'm going to give you a thoroughly good listening to. You ever said those words in that order? Okay, it's generally, you've been a very naughty boy, I'm going to tell you off. Go to your room, sit on the naughty step, okay? Don't think about your actions. And fair enough, those things can work, and it's good for them to get some quiet time and take themselves away from the drama. However, suppose you just said, look, I can see that you're a bit out of sorts right now. Let me put these things down for a second. Let's just have a little chat. Don't make that punishment, okay? Don't say, right, we are going to have a chat. consider the tonality, you're creating a thinking environment, you will probably say to the child 200 times, could you tidy your room please? And after about 8 times, you'll say, how many times do I have to tell you? And the child will probably correctly say, about 193 times more. Because that's going to be the answer. Okay? And it will be proved right. But if you could change that into, right, what would I need to ask you for you to see things the way I see them in terms of healthy room, healthy mind, for example? Okay, now the child will think you've gone bonkers. This is a bit of a weird question. And it's absolutely true. Coaching questions aren't always what that child is likely to expect. He gets used to being told what to do. So just be aware, okay, how can I make a listening environment in my house? And coincidentally, if the husband listens to the wife when the children are in the room, and vice versa, the wife listens to the husband and asks questions about it instead of commenting and saying, oh really, oh that's terrible, never mind, look, I've got stuff to do. Then the children will understand that that's what listening looks like. So we are modelling listening between ourselves for the children. Because if they always see this, look, I haven't got time for this, darling, sorry, look, you know I've got a lot to work. That's going to come back to you from the kids. You know, are you okay to get ready to go to Granny's? I don't want to go to Granny's, I've got so much to do, I've got to do my homework. Oh, now you've got to do your homework. Okay? So they make their own rules, but if we can create those sorts of spaces, just really child-centric, really thinking about the child in the middle of all of this, whatever we're doing, the child is soaking up. Okay? If we're having a fight with an adult, the child learns, that's the way to solve problems. And if you can coach that child from the word go, they will understand that Mummy really listens to me. Mummy wants to know what's in my mind. I want to know what's in other people's mind. You get inquisitive, curious, polite, well-balanced, organised children. And it will take 15 years. Don't expect it overnight. And don't expect that they'll be well-balanced and organised at 10 years old. And then they should be that for the rest of their life. Okay? The brain's got to kick in. The brain has to restructure itself. It restructures itself more than any other animal in the world. Okay? That's probably because we think we're more intelligent than most animals in the world. You wouldn't always know it. Here, just remember this. This is not normal to the child until it becomes normal. If you're going to use open questions and ask them to really think, a lot of the time they say, if you go to the child and you talk about his homework, and you say, let me just give you a little bit of feedback about your homework before you hand it in to your teacher. And the child's going, it's good enough. I know you're just going to make me change it. Okay, does anybody ever ask to see the homework before they hand it in? Does anybody put a few extra diagrams and colours in overnight while the child's speaking? Yeah? Just while because they haven't really got round to that. Now if you said, can we talk about your homework? And they're kind of going, yeah. Don't you think it would be a good idea if... The child's going, I knew you were going to say that. That's why I don't like it when you look at my homework. So how can we create the space where, fine, okay, Mummy's going to look at it, she's going to ask me questions about it. If I want to do it, I'll do it. If I don't want to do it, she won't force me. Okay, because Mummy wants me to get an A. And I'm kind of happy in this subject with a C. It's like saying, what time do you want to go to bed? Midnight. Oh, midnight. What do you want to get for this homework? Oh, I'd be happy with a C. Okay, a C. And tell me more about it. Stay with it, okay? Don't cloud it. Don't say you will not be getting C's in my house. Do you know how much I put into your education? Okay, whose agenda are we on when we're having those sort of conversations? So, conversations are not normal unless you make them so. And we had a bit of fun with this model here. We said we've sort of... identified 5 levels of listening. And we played around with this in the class with the teachers and so on, and a lot of them were saying, "Oh my God, I do that." Right? And you may recognize the same sorts of things. So we said, look, suppose you create a dilemma. I would like to buy a new bicycle, but I've already got 3 and there's no room in the house. Okay? Or I'd like to take the children abroad to Bali, but it's too expensive. So sort of coaching type conversation, a bit of a dilemma. Let me help you with that. Let me ask you some questions around it. But what we did with these dilemmas instead is we just interrupted them on purpose. We talked about something completely different. We cut them off in the middle. And the teachers thought, wow, that was frustrating. I thought, actually, right, I'm not volunteering anymore. So now I'm going to say, now give me another dilemma. And then the hijacking is sort of, yeah, I've done that. Yeah, we've been to Bali. In fact, when we went to Bali, we took this little boat all around the islands. It was amazing. We probably had the best time anybody's ever had in Bali. So they've not only hijacked what you wanted to talk about, but now they've told you about their experience of it, and it was better than yours. Okay? Has anybody ever, I'm sure nobody here does that, but other people you know might do that. Hijacking. Okay? Who here interrupts people's thinking so you can finish their sentence for them because you know what they're going to say? Because after all, parents' minds are much quicker than children's minds. Right? My mind's quicker than your mind. So let me just finish your sentence for you. It doesn't really matter what you're going to say. I'm going to tell you what we're going to talk about next. Now, do that enough times, and then say, so how was your day at school then? You go, you don't care. Hijack it enough times, okay? Child says, yeah, well, I got into a bit of a fight today. Got into a bit of a fight. I'll tell you about a fight. You should see me and my boss today. Let me hijack that for you. I don't want to get, I don't know. Right? So you're getting all these sort of mismatches. So let's find out how we listen. Advising. Okay? I'm not quite sure what I should do with my child, whether I should put him in this school or in this school. I'm not sure he's thriving there. Look, just let him sink or swim. Children are resilient. Thanks for the advice. Are you qualified to give that advice? The child says, I don't know if I want to go on a school trip. You're going on a school trip. Okay, let's talk it through. He may not get what he wants, but he may find he changes his mind. But is he changing his mind because we're asking him leading questions? I.e., don't you think you'd find it fun to be away from the house for a couple of days and go and visit here and with all the other kids? Now that's a fairly poor quality coaching question. A better question would just be, what will happen if you do? What will happen if you don't? Who else is going? Okay? What do you think you might learn? What would you do if you stayed at home? Big open questions. You just listen to the answers, underline the answers, and ask another question about it. But if we're always forcing our agenda, I want him to go because I get some peace and quiet for 2 nights, you are going. Okay, but let me disguise it in a question. Don't you think you'd have fun? I think you'd have fun. Okay, anyway, I paid the money, so... Now, when you get to the attentive part, okay, there's a lot of this in Nancy Klein's stuff as well. She just asks questions like, okay, she hears the dilemma, she creates the thinking space. It might not be immediate. She said, right, why don't we, let's do that after school today. I've got about 20 minutes when I get back. Why don't we sit for 20 minutes and let's really talk this through. You get the child used to making a thinking space and a listening space. Like my friend did, the newly qualified teacher, when she had her sitting still and keeping quiet. Because then information can go in, the brain can process, and the information comes out. And then we can all deal with that. So, attentive listening, tell me more about that. What are your thoughts about that? Anything else going on? Very neutral questions, which aren't normal. The child's probably going, Mum's been to some head voodoo course and she's trying out techniques on me. So you have to start making them as normal as you can. Okay? And then the active listening, which you may have heard more regularly in terms of coaching. Active listening is now getting more involved. Okay? Nodding a bit more, finding out just the key words and playing them back. Okay, so you're actually a bit scared of that. Do you want to talk about being scared? Okay, and now we're getting into it, and the child really feels, but she hasn't judged me so far, she hasn't told me what she wants, she hasn't interrupted me, she hasn't made it about, I'll tell you the story when I was scared. She just said, tell me about your scared, tell me about your situation. And then we can really start getting into the child's mind. And I've sort of studied this for some time. You know, I work with business, I work with education, I work with charities and sports, whatever. It's all the same. It's the mind saying, you know, where do I want to go with my mind? And I put all these things down in a book, which just says, here are some things that you could think about. Okay, but reading a book is one thing, but then actually saying, I am going to take this page and I'm going to translate that into my child and see what happens. That's quite a confronting thing to go, well, it's good to read books. I haven't really got time to do this stuff. It's good to know it. But knowing it and doing it are two separate things. So I'd really encourage you to think about where you are getting information from and then how you are actually putting it into the family. That's the key part. The action really helps the situation because then it becomes the norm. And if you have a listening household, I don't know if anybody's had experiences of going to somebody else's household and going, wow, everybody just listens to everybody until the others finish. Doesn't happen in my house. Okay? When you were small, I remember going to a friend of mine's house and they were all just talking over each other all the time and shouting at each other, wanting to be heard. And I thought, I must be really boring because this is exciting. But my mum will listen to me to the end of my sentence. And I thought that was kind of, I thought I should keep talking because she was still listening. And these guys are going, no, shut up, and there were 6 of them around the table, just, and Mum was saying, everybody calm down, shut up, Mum. I went, God, I've never said shut up, Mum, in my life. I think I'll try it. Okay, so you get different experiences from different families. If we can, wait. Ask yourself, why am I talking? What would happen if you were talking? What would happen if I just listened 15 minutes and just said, oh, right, what's going on? What else is going on? That's possibly all you need. Try not to be peeling potatoes. That would be useful for the child as well. Okay, but they will feel that they're being listened to. If you can ask 10 times more than you tell, okay, catch yourself telling, catch yourself asking. And then a few days later, ask the child, have you noticed that I'm asking you a few more questions now? Just to see if you can get valuation. Okay? The chances are they will have noticed. They say, yeah, I thought you were doing something strange. If you tell them, look, I've just been to a talk this morning, my homework is I'm supposed to listen to you. Well, now you're supposed to listen to me. Okay, how far can we go? Could you go all day without saying why, without saying do, without saying don't? We just ask the child. Now, of course, a big part of our job is to protect the child, but talk to them first and then say, right, great, I've really understood, really appreciated your thinking there. However, I think I could probably agree with this, but in my mind, I think that's probably not quite safe for you at this age, so this isn't going to be the right course of behavior. Just go there with them so they hear you listening to them and they understand that you are thinking it through and therefore your commands then come from a space of rational thought and appreciation rather than I haven't got time, you've just got to do this. And you can relate this to work. How many people are working in management or they've got teams or they're part of a team, okay? And you find that the boss just says, look, we haven't really got time for me to ask you what you think you'd like to do. I'm the boss for a reason. Do it like me. Do it like I say. So there's a whole cascade of this and observe. Now, this is one of my favorite coaching questions. I notice that you haven't done your homework yet. is a much better question or much better observation than you haven't done your homework yet, why not? Because we get into this analysis thing. And generally, when we try and analyse something, what we're really doing is looking to be right. I'm right, you're wrong, I don't think what you've done is good enough. If I'd done it, I would do it like this. And we get into this whole analysis thing. Okay? And being right and wrong, it's not really a big deal for most children. Okay? They just want to learn, they want to experiment. Have you ever told them, don't touch the stove, it's hot, you'll burn your finger? Yeah. Did your parents tell you the same thing? Did you touch the stove? Of course you did. And you go, I burned myself. And you say, you stupid child. I told you. How many times do I have to tell you? Just listen to your dad. They go, yeah, but I wanted to feel what it was like. How many people have ever made a mistake? How many of us have made the same mistake twice? Because they're great mistakes. They're fun. Okay, we're still making some of those mistakes, and we know them to be wrong. But mistakes are mistakes. So, when a child makes a mistake, how many of us say, I don't want you to make the same mistakes I made? And the child's going, why? They were great mistakes that you made. How come I don't get to have all that fun? Okay? If we start to stigmatize mistakes, if you make mistakes wrong, then the child will actually not do anything for fear of making a mistake. But if you just say, go ahead and make magnificent mistakes, I did, you should see the mistakes I made. And look at me now, I'm doing okay. And I'm sure we are doing okay. Okay, we all come right in the wash at the end. It all comes out, and it's good. But you may get there when you're 40. You may get there when you're 22. You may just get there when you're 7, and you just never leave that space. You just get life. Okay? But typically, people build into that after their brain stops restructuring, way into their 20s and even 30s and 40s and 50s. Okay, eventually, because it makes sense. And we normally get there later in life because we've asked ourselves good questions. How come they've got this going on in their life and I just never seem to get it right? Now, what a great question to ask yourself. That's self-coaching. How come this isn't working for me but it's working for them? What a great question. Let me answer that. That might take you months. What is he doing that I'm not doing? What does their family do together that our family doesn't do? Okay, now it's not a competition. I put here, who really cares? Right? So let's stop being right for the. Let me give you a quiz. Okay? Here's a quiz. Let's say you're running a race and you overtake a person in second place. What place are you in now? First, right? Sure about that? If you overtake the person in second, you become second. You dunderhead. What about if you overtake the person in last place? Where are you now? Second last? How can you overtake the person in last place? You can see a couple of people really smug now. I told you. Okay, so don't feel you've got to be right and wrong. Here's a maths one for you. Okay, I put this up so you can. If you, in fact, let me hide the slide for a second. Can you do mental arithmetic? Because you're always asking the kids if they can. So, you're not allowed to write this down, okay? Take the number 1,000. Right? I'm going to go quickly through this, so follow through, okay? 1,000. Add 40. Add 1,000. Add 30. Add 1,000. Add 20. Add 1,000. Add 10. 5,000? Who got 5,000?
4,000.
Who got 4,100? Who's done the head? Let's have a look. Oh, I had this up there. 4,000 times 4, 40, 30, 20, 10, 4,100. But who really cares? It's not actually, and it's not going to change your child's future. I guess it shouldn't change yours after today. Okay. It's easy to be wrong, it's easy to be right. Some things are more right. Maths tends to be right or wrong. But nowadays, increasingly, the examiners are looking, how did you get the workings out? That's a good question. It doesn't really matter if you get the right answer, they see you're on the right track. See, you were close, but you just made one little thing, but it doesn't really matter. That might matter in some jobs later on, if you're making calculations to send people into space. You've got to be fairly accurate. And you like to think that your bank's on top of your account, okay, and they're not taking large sums of money away by accident. Okay? So, sorry that slide didn't come up. So, this bit here, lazy parenting. Okay? We'll finish with this bit. If we really give too much advice, I think that's lazy. You're not allowing the child the joy of discovering something for themselves because you've told them what's expected, how you would do it, all the experiences you've had and the mistakes that cost you, and you're saying, this is what you need to do. And they're going, I wouldn't have done it that way, but it doesn't matter, I'll do it your way. I would go as far as to say, giving too much advice, let's give some advice, giving too much advice is theft. You've stolen some part of the learning process from the child by just saying, do this. Don't steal that joy of discovering from them. They really enjoy learning, working things out. How would you do it? What would you have done? Where would you get that information? What does this look like to you? There's a lovely story. Has anybody come across Ken Robinson? Now, Sir Ken Robinson. Okay, super educationalist from the UK. Has anybody seen his TED talk? Where he talks about creativity. Okay, I'll share that and indulge it for a couple of other people if you haven't seen that. And he talks about creativity. And he says, I think creativity should be as important as literacy and numeracy. Let the child be creative, but if you continually override her ideas, she learns to shut down around you. And he tells the story of a little girl who's drawing a picture, and her mum says, what are you drawing? And she says, I'm drawing a picture of God. And her mum says, but darling, nobody really knows what God looks like. And she said, well, they will in a minute. Okay, now, hang on to that. She knows where she's going with stuff. Does it really matter if that's the right picture of God or the wrong picture of God, or you wouldn't have done it like that? Or does God have all those colours? Is God masculine, feminine? Okay? They will in a minute. I know where I'm going with this. Now, how many of you have said to your children, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they kind of go, I'd like to grow bonsai trees. You go, oh, bonsai trees, okay. Anything else if you didn't do bonsai trees? They said, I'd like to be a gymnast. Oh, gymnast, yeah. Okay, yeah, anything else? Well, yeah, I'd quite like to be a traffic cop. So, but, yeah, I don't see you saying doctor anywhere here. Could you at least become a bank manager, maybe? So where's my agenda? Where's their agenda? Just go with it. Children will change their minds every 6 months. Okay? Now they don't want to do that, now they want to be a nurse. Now they don't want to be that, now they want to be a footballer. Okay? How many of us knew what jobs we would be in now when we were 6? Or even 16? I mean, and there are the occasional few. Some people know because their parents are teachers, I'm going to be a teacher. My dad's a fireman, I want to be a fireman. Okay, that could well happen. But a lot of the jobs that our children are waiting to do in 15, 20, 30 years' time haven't been invented yet. They say that 7 out of 10 of the people in this generation will be doing jobs that nobody even knows what that job is. HR. Who knew what HR was 30 years ago? Now everybody's doing it. But I'm going to wrap up here. I think it's the overriding message here is just take the time, make the space to listen and ask questions, because your child is a totally outstanding person, capable of astonishing things if we can give them that space. So I'll leave it there. Thanks so much.
Some of those things may have resonated to the parent of a 1 and a 3-year-old. I don't know about any of you. We had a challenge when we did the homework talk recently to go home and ask your child to do a mime of you as they see you. This is mine. Thinking of hiding it. She does that quite well for me anyway. So powerful. Time, 24 hours every day, 7 days every week, 180 school days. Our teachers have spent 6 days. We invested time in them to stop, reflect, listen. How important is it that you make that time? What damage could not making the time do? And how powerful could that small amount of time be? So many messages today. We could list them, but James, inspirational, thought-provoking, soul-destroying, self-reflecting, equally phenomenal. Thank you. I wish we could keep you for hours and hours and hours, but I know there's going to be questions. We did ask if James would bring some books with him. He has got his books here on sale, and he's going to help him with it. It's 50 ringgit a book. He wouldn't peddle them himself, so I think I would. I'm going to buy one, I'm going to get my cash now. Thank you so much for coming. It's been a brilliant turnout, and I hope that sometime over the next few days, a little bit more time for questioning and thinking. Thank you so much. Questions?
I'm conscious that a few people do need to go. I know there's a swimming garden. Please feel free to go and have a. If you'd like to buy one, it's great. If not, thanks so much. Are you happy that when we take some questions, it's easier for people to just come a little bit closer to the front and we can share it? Again, it's easily out of theory.